Hello, I'm the CommanderZander. I remember it so that the standard critic doesn't have to. And neither should you. Well, you know the old saying, all good things must come to an end. Well, the same principle can apply for TV shows. No one great TV show can last forever. But the question is, why? Why can't a great show last forever and ever and ever and ever? For as long as it's running new episodes. Well, there's two reasons why. Either the people responsible for the TV shows are smart enough to go out on top before they hit the downward trend, or, in the case of other TV shows, they overstated their welcome, essentially. They try and keep going and going, but they run out of ideas and they're a faded glory. There are plenty of both that you can delve into. Like in the case of Seinfeld and Jimmy Neutron, for kids shows, that is. Both of those shows were really great for their time, and they both went out on top. They didn't show any other new episodes after they went out on top because they felt like they'd done all they could. And there's nothing else to do except deteriorate what was a great show. Then on the other side of that fork of the road, as you will, are shows like The Simpsons, Family Guy, and SpongeBob. Great shows at their time, especially at the height of their power, but have faded in recent times, all around the same time, actually, amazingly enough, because of the fact that they've done so much, and there's not really much else you can do with all these shows. So it makes it very, very difficult for these shows to last forever. The one exception to that rule is a show like South Park. They're the one outlier to a great show that will possibly never end anytime soon. I'd say the only thing that will keep South Park from continuing on is if Matt and Trey decide to call it quits and just say, you know what, we're done. But what's great about a show like South Park, and the reason why it's one of the few shows that continues to be great with new episodes, is the fact that they're developing with current times. They're blending in and adapting to new environments, as you will. In the case of South Park, they always do their episodes based on what's going on in current times. That's what keeps them relevant. And it's tough to find shows like that nowadays because of the fact that the way the plots are set up, it's kind of tough to kind of keep relevant with current times and doing stuff based on the current times. Attempt they may, it most of the time doesn't work out. In the case of South Park, they're one of the few that might be able to last for as long as they can because of the fact that they're able to base off their shows on what's going on in current events. And that's what's the beauty of South Park. I think they're going to be one of those shows that's going to be tough to top, tough to build off of, and tough to duplicate because of the fact that they're able to build off of current times. So in the case of like Seinfeld and Jimmy Neutron, they look like geniuses for going out on top, whereas shows like The Simpsons and Family Guy and SpongeBob continue to lag on and on and on because they're trying to recapture that glory that they once had. They have had their moments in recent years, but not as many as what they had at the height of their powers, and they're struggling to survive, and it's amazing that those shows are still going on to this day. And that's the main focus on this editorial, is the fact that you're going to have bad shows that are going to get canned after like 1 or 2 seasons. But even the great shows aren't going to last forever, and they too are going to ultimately suffer the same fate as the bad shows. Because they're either going to go out on top while they're still great and not ruin their legacy, or they're going to try and continue to lag on and on and on, struggle for ratings, and ultimately will suffer a long, painful death. The shows that have a legacy are the ones that decided to stop on top. Because now you can relive all of the classics, all of the great episodes of Seinfeld and the Jimmy Neutrons. Whereas in the case of The Simpsons or Family Guy or SpongeBob's, you're looking at the older episodes. You're not really looking forward to the newer episodes when they re-air because of the fact that they're not as great as the classics that once held. If SpongeBob had stopped after the first movie, I think that show would have been basically the kids' version of Seinfeld. A classic for every episode that you see. But because they continue to build on that movie and build, they did get a second movie, but their episodes just don't have the same magic that they once had. Same case with The Simpsons. They've gone on forever and ever. They've been on for almost 30 years now, amazingly. 30 years! But ever since the 2000s, the turn of the century, they really haven't had that same magic that made them a powerhouse in the 90s. Family Guy, same deal. Right around 2007, 2008 was the beginning of the decline for them, and they have struggled to recapture that magic since then. So, advices to all those new shows that are out there. If you somehow succeed, if you're able to last 4 or 5 good seasons, take the George Costanza approach. Drop the mic. Go out on top if you make a great joke. Don't be like The Simpsons, Family Guy, or SpongeBob and try to leg on forever and ever until you're basically barely hanging on. Just take Brett Favre, for example. He played way longer than he should, and his career ended with a thud. I have a sad feeling that SpongeBob, Family Guy, and The Simpsons are going to end with a long, slow, painful thud. They will be remembered, but they're not going to be remembered as well as the Seinfelds and Jimmy Neutrons because while they did have classic episodes, they're also going to have some bad ones that you'll have to relive too. But they're still going to be good shows. They're still going to be great episodes. You just won't see them as much of a legacy. Well, unless you're The Simpsons. The Simpsons basically have their own legacy. But they're not going to have the same kind of legacy as the Seinfelds and Jimmy Neutrons in the world because they didn't go out on top like they should have. When they reached the height of their power, they should have just stopped right there. By lagging on, they kind of tarnished their legacy just a little bit. Not completely to the fact that, oh, they're not that great. They're the worst fucking show ever. But still, it's just not the kind of magic that they once had. So, if you run a good show, stop while you're on top. That's my advice. Unless, of course, you're South Park, in which case, continue building on your legacy, because that show ain't stopping anytime soon. I'm the CommanderZander. I remember it so that it sounds great doesn't have to, and neither should you.